All right, welcome in another Wednesday on Under the Sun Sports. We officially have our name. We can give a little round of applause for that. We're pretty excited. If you haven't checked us out on Facebook, actually, you probably have if you're seeing this video because that's just about the only place that we are posting it. But our show is produced by Chris Valenti. It is edited by Mike Chiacheri, and I'll be today's host. My name is Pat, and we have Mike and Chris on today. Welcome, gentlemen. We're excited. Today we get to talk a little NHL hockey, or mostly you guys get to talk a little NHL hockey. We have a little NBA basketball, see how things are going with the bubble and give our predictions with a special guest. I won't spoil that yet, but tune into that video and that segment for a special guest. And then we got a little bonus segment in honor of our newest Under the Sun family member, Nolan Pascal. Congratulations to Mike.
Thank you, sir.
And we're going to do a little segment today to honor him where we talk about what sport, position, team would you like your son or daughter to grow up and play and why? And I'm very excited for that segment. But first, we're going to kick it off with a little NHL. We got some predictions, and I'm going to turn it over to the experts. We got two really great qualified NHL people on, so I'll kick it over to you guys. Anybody prefer to start with their predictions on the NHL upcoming season?
Mike, why don't you start?
That's fine. Yeah, sure. Let's. I figured.
You want to start with the round robin?
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, I'm definitely ready for anything. I guess let's start in the Eastern Conference. We'll go with that 5-12 matchup. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Montreal Canadiens. Definitely an interesting matchup. I know Pittsburgh was a little bit, I don't know if you want to say upset, but I know that they were one of the teams that voted against the reseeding and the top four teams getting those buys. So, Chris, who did you have? And then I'll kind of go with mine.
Well, what I'll say first is, as usual, Pittsburgh's going to cry. It's just in their nature. So I had the Pens in 4. With that being said, they're just way too talented. I think they lose one game in there, but I think it's a pretty easy series for them.
Yeah, I kind of can't help but agree as well. I think especially getting Gensel back, huge, I don't like him, but, that's huge. And, they're definitely getting more healthy. I think the only chance that the Canadians would have there would be Carey Price if he can steal him a game. And I definitely actually agree with you there. I think it's going to go 4. I think they'll get one game. It wouldn't shock me if the Pens just swept them right away and took it 3-0. But I think that's one of the more lopsided matchups in this round robin round. I'm actually thinking, Chris, as well. That's good. I like that we agree. I don't know how everybody's going to happen. Let's. I want to do real quick. Just explain what the NHL did. I think just highlighting it for anyone who doesn't know, or just kind of giving them a bit of an explaining a little bit as to what they did. So they took 24 teams, 12 from the East, 12 from the West. The top 4 teams in each conference, according to points percentage, were given buys in this sort of round-robin tournament they'll play. So in the Eastern Conference, it's going to be Boston, Tampa, Washington, and the Flyers. And they're each going to play each other one time in a round-robin type tournament, and that's going to determine the seeding for the 1 through 4 seeds. Then the 5 through 12, respectively, for each conference are going to battle it out in a 5-game series, 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, and so on. And once those ones are done and the round robin with the top 4 are done, you're going to be left with 8 in each conference, which is the typical playoff. So that's just a little bit of how we're going to get there. We did the Penguins and Canadians, but I just wanted everybody to know what the NHL was doing specifically and how we got there. So let's jump ahead to the next one. We'll go with number 6, Carolina Hurricanes, and the number 11, New York Rangers. Chris, what did you have?
So I know this is the popular upset series. Everyone thinks the Rangers going to win on their goaltending, but I have the Canes, and I have them in 3. I think, there's a reason the Rangers are a 12 seed. Top to bottom, Canes just have more talent. I think they're a more solid built team. I think they win fairly easily.
I can definitely see an argument for the Hurricanes here. But here's my counter argument. I'm going to take the Rangers, and I'll tell you why. They have a Hart Trophy candidate in Artemi Panarin. He has a legitimate chance, to win the MVP this year. And it's interesting you say that the Rangers are that seed for a reason. I mean, if you look at it, I think final standings, I believe, honestly, they were only separated by like a couple points. So, like, yeah, the seeding is there, but I'm looking at it right now, and I'm looking at the points they ended with. Carolina ended with 81. The Rangers ended with 79. So, I mean, it was a difference of 2 points. That's one win. So, I mean, you take one win, and all of a sudden those are flip-flop. Now you have 6-11 the other way. So they're closer than people thought. I think the misconception was that the Rangers were some kind of horrible team. That's not the case. They started out very slow. Panarin got going in the end. Zibanejad scored 40 goals in such a short amount of time. And they played 4 times this year, and the Rangers won every single game. So, yeah. I mean, I could easily see it going either way. I definitely love what Carolina's got going. I think Aho's a great young sniper, and I think they got the goaltending tandem. I think is a little weaker for them. I think the Rangers are going to lean on. They have a few options. I don't even think it's going to be Lundqvist, and they're going to go with Shesterkin or one of those guys. But I actually going to take the Rangers, and I'll take them in 4. But it's going to be a good series. Definitely very physical. So we'll have to see. That could be one we bet on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say no to that.
All right, let's move on. Number 7, we have the New York Islanders and the number 10 Florida Panthers. And I believe this might be another one that we disagree on. I'm not quite sure, but you want to go ahead?
Yeah, we'll see. So I have the Islanders. I have them in 4. I think they have the advantage with their first line there, also on their defense and with goaltending. You know how good that Bob can be when he's on his game. But I think that the Islanders win this one. I think they take it in 4.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you said it perfectly. I think it really comes down to Bobrovsky. I mean, they got him. He's a 2-time Vezina winner. They got him to be that guy, and he's not that guy. And, you know, that team's good. They're solid enough. Ekblad's good on the back line. They have some forwards that can play. Barkov's a perennial, you know, all-star and, you know, Selke candidate. And, I mean, it's going to be close. It literally all comes down to how Bobrovsky plays. And my guess was that he's going to step it up. But you never really know. I could definitely see the Islanders. They're very balanced. They're very solid. But I'm going to go with the Panthers, and I'm going to say it's going to go to 5.
Okay.
All right.
This is why I love the NHL playoffs, though. I mean, I know it's not the normal playoffs, but everything you said I agree with. Any team can win more so than any other sport, which is why they're the most fun to watch.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And, I mean, like, look at last year. Tampa was, like, the most dominant team. They won the President's Cup or President's Trophy, and they get swept by Columbus. I mean, Columbus plays hard. We're going to talk about them next. But, yeah, I mean, you just never know. So it's definitely exciting, but it definitely – there's a lot that goes into it. So I did say Barkov was a finalist. He's never been a finalist for the Selke, but he's going to get there one day. It's just like Couturier, who I have to say better win. All right. Let's go.
How many games are they playing before they get into the actual playoff seeding here?
It's just they have one exhibition game, and then it's going to start with your series. So literally you're playing one exhibition game. The Flyers played the Penguins yesterday. I'm watching one right now. The Blues are playing the Blackhawks. You only get one exhibition game, and then you're jumping right into your 5-game series. So it's kind of just like trial by fire here. I mean, the top 4 teams are going to get those 3 games against each other, but really you're getting one game right after your training camps, and it's going right into it. So it's hard to forecast. Nobody's really going to be like too ready. But they actually look pretty good. I got to say, Chris, have you had a chance to watch, or Pat, I'm not sure if you have either, had a chance to watch any of them?
Yesterday, and they looked great.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. But I haven't had a chance to watch the other ones yet.
Yeah, I got a chance. I mean, when you're up feeding the child at, 1 a.m. or 10 at night, you catch some replays. So I got to see some of these Western Conference teams, and they look pretty good. I mean, the competition was fierce, and I have to say they definitely kept themselves in shape, it looks like, so far. And we'll talk about the bubble later, but they've done a fantastic job. I believe it's 0 positive tests out of the over 2,000 they've done. So we can get into that afterward. I think the NHL's done a great job. Let's get into the 8-9 matchup in the East.
Yeah, one more thing I want to throw in there real quick, though. It's funny, like, as you were going over the format, I think this year with how crazy it's been, having one of those 4 seeds is actually even a bigger advantage than it was in years past. I mean, there's no home ice advantage, but you're getting 3 games to warm up and get used to this craziness while those other teams are just being thrown right in. So I'm really glad.
Yeah, you could tell the Flyers-Penguins game, like, they brought a lot more intensity than I was
Yeah,
anticipating. Like
yeah,
when I turned it on, because I mean, you guys know, like the one criticism that hockey does sometimes get is the fact that like it looks like they play so much harder in the playoffs, and
yeah.
it's like that in every sport. But I actually really enjoy watching playoff hockey, and I'm not the biggest regular season hockey fan because I feel like it's almost like watching a different sport. Like
Yeah.
they're playing like to win so much harder, and it feels like a lot of the rest of the regular season they're sometimes playing for overtime or they're taking penalties fights just because it's energy booster type of thing. You don't see that as much in the playoffs, and I was surprised that like the energy was like so high yesterday.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
absolute grind. I mean, it's the play that's why the NHL playoffs I think are just they're absolutely my favorite. I think it's a different animal. I think you're totally right there. But yeah, it's going to be very exciting to see what comes around now. I mean, because it's the biggest question mark, and that's like all sports are right now. So, all right, let's get into the 8-9 in the East. We have the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Chris, want to go ahead and kick it off there?
Yeah. So this is a team I was high on going in last year's playoffs, as I think you remember. And this year, I mean, they're always hyped up. I got the Maple Leafs. I think they take it in 3. That the firepower they have on offense is just incredible. It's just a shame they just can't seem to put it together. But with this format, I know the teams have looked good so far and like they're in shape. But I still think that once these actual games start, there's going to be a lot more breakdowns than you would normally see in the playoffs. So I think with that firepower on offense, with Matthews, leading the way. Also, I think an X factor there is Nick Robertson, who killed in the OHL this season, and he made the 31-man roster, so he can make some noise if he gets some solid playing time. So I just think the offense is going to win out here, and I have them in 3.
Nice X factor there, Chris. I really like that.
Thanks.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's on paper the Leafs. This is one where it's kind of on paper versus hockey game script and what's going to actually happen on the ice. On paper, I think that you can easily say that the Leafs are the more talented team. You got that they call it the all-star line. They throw Matthews, Tavares, and Marner together on a line, and that's absolutely insane. I mean, that's probably the best line in hockey. I mean, there's not much you can do better than that. So, like, look, if they're throwing those guys out there, and they're solid enough on the D, Morgan Riley and Tyson Barrie and guys like that. They're veteran guys. They've been around. In goal, Freddie Anderson's been a little shaky, but if he's going for it, I think that they have a good shot. It should be the Leafs, but then again, you have this Columbus team. They took out Tampa last year. They play real hard. John Tortorella is going to have them ready to go. I don't think they're going to take it though. I think this is easily going to be Toronto. I think it's going to be 4. I'll give Columbus 1 game because they're going to play very, very hard. But I actually agree with you on this one. I think what's that 2 for 4 that we've agreed now?
Yeah, 2
We're
for
gonna make
4.
bets on all the ones we don't. But yeah, I totally agree. I think Toronto's gonna take this one pretty easily. So all right, let's move on to the West here. Let's do the top 4 real quick. Just go over them. We have the Blues, we have the Colorado Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Dallas Stars. Those are going to be the top 4 teams that are going to battle it out in the round robin. So they've automatically got into the next round. But now we're going to go to the play-in stage with our number 5 Edmonton Oilers and number 12 Chicago Blackhawks. Do you want me to go first, or do you like going first, Chris?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I have the Oilers in 4, and Connor McDavid is why.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the best player in hockey in a short series.
Yeah, and it's funny. He probably is the best player in hockey, and he's his line mate Leon Draisaitl is probably the guy who's going to end up winning the Hart Trophy this year. I mean, he had the most points in the NHL. Those two together, the fact that you have the 2 highest scoring players in the NHL that play on a line together, let alone a team, is insane. That's firepower right there. It doesn't get high-end talent. Doesn't get any better than that. I watched the Oilers play last night when I got to be up at 1 a.m, a little replay. They were playing the Flames. If you thought the Flyers-Penguins game was intense, this was insane. That's a huge rivalry, the Battle of Alberta in there, and they were beating the crap out of each other. They both looked ready to go. And McDavid had a goal. He was flying around. I definitely agree with you. I think 4 games probably. I'll give Chicago. This isn't the same Chicago team that's won all those cups. This is definitely they've lost a bit of a step. This isn't the dynasty. This is not 4, 5, 6 years ago. But they still have veterans. I mean, Kane and Taves can still lead the way. DeBrincat can put the puck in the net. But I'm going to go with Edmonton in 4 as well. Did you take 4, Chris? Was that your?
Yeah, 4.
All right, there we go. That's a complete agree. I love it. All right, number 6, Nashville Predators, and number 11, Arizona Coyotes.
I'm taking Nashville. I'm going to take them. I think I had them in 4. Yeah, I'm going to take them in 4. Just that defensive pairing at the top with Yossi and Ellis is just one of the best pairings in the league. So with the breakdowns that I was talking about that I think could occur, I mean, if you have a defense like that, I think they're going to hold up. Plus, I know there's a goalie battle going on with Rene and Saros. Do they announce who's going to start between those two yet?
I don't think they did yet. If I had to guess, I think it'd be Rene. But
yeah.
But Saros has looked better this year. So
yeah, Rene has not looked like himself.
I mean, yeah.
But either way,
no, I just wanted to throw real quick. Goalies are going to be interesting this year. You've seen in these games that they're doing that some goalies are they're playing half and half. I think having a huge or a solid backup is going to be one of the biggest things because I think it's going to be a short leash for some of these goalies. I mean, you're in a 7-game series. You have maybe one game, a couple periods to kind of let your goalie feel it out. If he lets a couple soft ones in. In a 5-game series, I think it's just going to be – I think teams are going to be so much quicker to yank those goalies and try to get some momentum going. So I could definitely see them both playing as I can see 2 goalies playing for, 8, 10 teams in this opening round because I think you don't have time to waste. You lose the first game of a best of 5 and you could be in quicksand. So I can definitely see both happening, whether it's Rene or Saros. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So I think whoever wins that job, though, is going to come out on fire and motivated. You got the young upstart who's played great, and then you got the legend. I think whoever's in there is going to be extra motivated and fresh off winning that job. They're going to get some extra confidence. So I think also just the Preds are just a more well-rounded team, so I think they take it in 4.
I think this one actually kind of reminds me a bit of the Toronto Columbus series. I think that you have the firepower with Nashville, but I think that I'm actually going to go the other way with the Coyotes. I think that I love how they're coached. They've definitely played real hard. I mean, on paper, I would definitely say that I think Nashville's much more impressive. Like you said, Yossi's a Norris candidate this year. Ellis is very solid. But, Arizona's got some players too. I mean, Ekman Larson, the captain there, definitely leads his squad very well. They have Taylor Hall coming off winning a Hart Trophy a couple years ago. Phil Kessel can shoot. There's definitely some players this Arizona team's got, and they're going to grind it down. I think this is going to be a very tough-fought series, but I'm going to go with the Coyotes in 5.
Okay.
All right. Let's –
yep, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, no, so we got 2 more. We have the Canucks and the Wild. Number 7 Canucks, number 10 Wild.
So the next 2 were so tough.
Agreed. I think these are the 2 toughest ones to call. Two of the toughest.
So I went back and forth. Ultimately, I went with the Wild. I just think the Canucks are such a young team. The Wild have a little more experience. I think that's going to win out in under such weird circumstances. I think they edge it out in 5 games, and that's really the main reason. I just think the veterans on that team are going to help them, give them a slight edge.
I can't argue with that. I totally agree. I think that the Wild are the more experienced team, and I think it depends what you're looking for when we're coming back here from play. Are you looking for the younger team who might be more fleet of foot, or are you looking for the more experienced team who can jump right back into it a lot quicker? The X factor for me in this was goaltending. I mean, Stalock's been good, but Markstrom's been better. He's probably a top 5 goaltender this year. And I mean, when you're looking at, playoff hockey, what do you want? You want some goaltending. I'm going to take Jacob Markstrom. I'm going to take Quinn Hughes, having a huge year. He's definitely in the running for the Calder. Elias Pettersson, all those young guys, I think this is good experience for them. If not this year, the next 5-10 years, and they're going to be awesome. But I'm going to go with the Canucks, and I'm going to go with them in 4 games.
Okay.
And our last one, we have the number 8 Calgary Flames and the number 9 Winnipeg Jets. This probably was the toughest one.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I had trouble with this one too. I ultimately went with the Flames in 5. Um, they have a little slightly better defense, and just Goudreau can be an X factor in any series he's in. So that's basically my thought process there. It was kind of a coin flip, and I just went with the team with the slightly better defense, and I love Goudreau. Who doesn't love Johnny Hockey? So
Love them. I completely agree. I think this one is a tale of offense, defense, and then I'm going to have the tiebreaker is the goaltending. The defense for the Flames is better. Giordano coming off of Norris. I think it's definitely much stronger. The Jets have some questions on the back end. I think the forwards for the Jets group are a little bit better. I'll take Line and Scheifele and that crew any day. To me, it came down to goaltending, and I would take Connor Hellebuck, who I think him or Rask are going to win the Vezina Trophy this year. So, again, I think it's another case of it's so close. I'm going to take the better goaltender. Give me Connor Hellebuck and give me it in 5 games. It's going to be a hard-fought one. I could see it going either way. I can't even argue, but I will take the Jets in 5. Okay. There we are. That's our little preview. We have picks for every first-round matchup. Did you go any further with yours?
We'll save those for next.
I was gonna say, at this
the one
moment, I didn't pick. I think a good thing to do in the future could be maybe, picking how, or I guess the seeding for the top 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to do? Did you do your seeding, like your top 4? How you?
I can do it real quick. I can just eyeball it. That's fine.
Yeah, so I'll go first.
I didn't really, honestly, yeah. Other than my article, I didn't really plan anything much else.
Yeah. So, for the West, I have the seeding coming out as the Avs, the Blues, the Stars, and then Vegas is 4. And then the East, I have the Lightning, Flyers, Bruins, Caps. I think the Lightning are more talented in the East, but Flyers looked really good yesterday, and they actually have great records against those teams, other than the Lightning. So I saw a stat yesterday. They flashed it up, the records, which I actually didn't know off the top of my head, but they've been 2-1 versus Brewers this year, 3-0-1 versus the Caps, and then lost to the Lightning. But
yeah,
they played these teams well. They looked great yesterday, so I think they're going to carry over that momentum. So I don't think they top the Lightning in this round robin, but I could see them getting the 2 seed, and then we'll see what happens.
That's why this is so hard, because I literally, for either of these, you could give me any order and there's like no arguing as to what, why it could or couldn't be. I will go off the top of my head, Boston, Tampa, Flyers, and Washington for the East. There's been some health question marks for Boston. I hope, I don't hope, but I hope everyone's okay. But if Pastrnak has been on and off, if he's all good, which I guess it says that everybody is, then the Bruins are a very tough contender. They're going to be hard to beat, like you said. Although the Flyers have played well against them, but it's not all about the one game. Tampa has had the Flyers number. I'll give the Flyers a 3 and the Caps a 4. In the West, let me just pull it up real quick. I will go with my 4 will be Dallas. I think they're very talented, but I'll keep them there at the 4. I'm going to have the Avalanche at number 1. I'll have the Knights at number 2, and I'll have the Blues at number 3. I think the Avs are doing some great things. Cale Makar is definitely in the running for the Calder Trophy. On the blue line, I think that the Knights are a very well-rounded team, and the Blues, defending Cup champions, you can't argue with that. Stars are talented, don't get me wrong. I think they're actually, up front and on the back end. Plus with Ben Bishop, very good, but that's going to be my guess for those 4. So wait and see. I'm excited.
And how is the NHL handling like COVID compared to the other sports? Like, for those of us who haven't been following, what are, the NBA is doing the bubble, the MLB is traveling. Everyone seems to be doing something different. What is the NHL doing on that front?
So they had 2. So the East and the West are divided into 2 hub cities. The East is stationed in Toronto, and the West is stationed in Edmonton. So that's 12 teams in the East, 12 teams in the West. And they have their own little bubble that basically is their hotel. And I was actually listening to a podcast today, and I didn't even know this, that it's like it's a literal fenced-off section of Toronto. They have like 100 security guards and health officials, like literally guarding this like border. for the NHL players to just kind of live in this environment, whether it's the hotel, they have stuff for them to do. I mean, this was a thing back in May, teams were pitching to have NHL cities or NHL to host these NHL teams. And part of it was like, how are you going to keep these players entertained? What are you going to do? How are you going to help them stay connected to their families without actually being able to see them? What kind of environment they're going to have? What kind of food? All this kind of stuff. So they were basically picked. I think at the time they were picking, there was definitely spikes in the U.S. So they've opted for 2 Canadian cities, which was probably better off. But they're literally blocking off a section of Toronto for these players to live in that includes their hotel, divided up into teams. There's a couple of hotels, actually. But they've done a fantastic job so far. Like I said, I think it was 2 tests that were positive out of the 2,000, and then they tested again the next week, and it was 0 tests. So currently there are 0 cases of COVID within the NHL. I think they've just done a fantastic job of communication and keeping everybody safe. And every picture you see is a player wearing a mask. And so I just think they've done an excellent job. And hopefully they can keep it that way. I mean, they seem like they're doing a good job of sectioning everybody off, and everybody's doing pretty well. So games are going to get started in a couple days.
Within that bubble, you said they have it like sectioned off in the city. Do they have like food places, like restaurants and stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. So I don't know the specific like how big it is or what the radius is. Like I said today, I actually literally thought they were kind of just sectioned their hotel. I was listening to a podcast today that was saying that there's actually like a fenced-in border. So there's definitely restaurants and things to do and all kinds of stuff like that. So I don't think they're like losing their mind like staying in a hotel room. But at the same time, it's keeping the general public out. Which
well, that's really where like the NBA seems to be struggling. Is like you have a few people who are kind of like going astray and strip clubs, wings, whatever, getting food delivery.
I thought they were actually pretty on it too. I remember hearing a story of somebody, I think it was for like the Spurs, like literally like stepped off of the like safe area and he was quarantined for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, they're definitely being strict about it. And well, I think they just know that there's so much to lose. These money forces you to take everything a little bit more serious. And I think they all realize that if there's outbreaks, it's going to mess with their bottom line. So I think that the people who are making the decisions and they're passing down the discipline are being very strict about it, because I don't know that they actually care if they get COVID or not. They care that how it affects their games and their schedules and their TV, deals and everything that goes along with it. So
hopefully they would, like from a side.
Selfishly for us, we want them to be strict too. Not, I mean, for their health, sure, but as fans, so we can watch.
We want to see
so sports can go on.
Yep, 100% agree.